Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Bowman Makes, and our third in the series looking at Scratch versus Pico-8. Today we're going to take a look at something called a list in Scratch, which is also commonly known as an array in other coding languages. Now, Scratch and Pico-8 both give us the ability to create lists, so let's jump straight over to Scratch to see how it's done. Alright, in Scratch we have our fruit list, and you can see that I've added 5 different things to our fruit list. And we also have a fruit count variable, which will help us to count up each of these as we run through our loop over here. So here we've got our fruit count, and I've set that to 1 so that it's the start of the fruit list. And we're going to repeat this for the length of the fruit list. So rather than typing 5 specifically, rather than having 5 here, we can actually put in the length of the fruit list as a variable. And anytime we add anything to this and we rerun the code, we don't have to keep coming back here and updating our repeat because it will always be the same length as the list. Here we have the fruit count, and that's why we've made this set fruit count to 1 so that when we go through, it's going to reference the first one in the list, which is apple. As we go through, we change this by 1, and so when the list repeats again, it's then getting the second one in the list, and we go orange. And it does this for each one in the list. Then it says ... for a second, and then it says fruit salad. So that's what we're going to recreate now so that you can see how we build that in Scratch. All right, we've got our blank project here apart from our when flag is clicked. And the first thing we need to do is come down to our variables section. So if we're in somewhere else, we come down to variables. And here we have our button, make a list. So let's click that make a list, and we're going to call this fruit. And OK. And our fruit list is currently empty, so we're going to add things to this list. So apple, banana, orange, mandarin, let's see, what else? Pineapple, and mango. Cool. So we've got our list of fruit. And over here, we can see that Scratch automatically makes a whole bunch of other commands that we can use with our list to change things, add things, delete things, insert, replace. All these different things in here are available to us. We also need to make a variable, and that's going to be our fruit count variable. So fruit count. We're going to go OK. So we've got our variable here and we've got our list. Now the first thing we need to do is set our fruit count so that it's actually set to 1, which is the first item in our list. And then we're going to get our repeat. So let's go up to control and repeat. And this is where we can come back to our list options, and we can come down to length of fruit. So here we can grab the length of fruit, and this will change depending on however many list items we've got in here. So we're just going to stick this into our repeat so that it will repeat for the exact amount of times that we need it to. Okay, we've got our repeat. We now need our say command. So we're going to go up to looks, and we're going to grab say. And here what we're going to do is we're going to get it to say an item in the fruit list. So we need to go back to our variable here, and we're going to get item of fruit. So we've got to come down and find item of fruit. So this is our list, and we can choose different lists if we have different ones. And we're going to go item 1 of fruit. Now this will automatically and only repeat item 1. So if we click flag here, have a look what happens. It says apple. And it just keeps saying apple, even when we go through again and again. So let's just stop that, because it's always just going to say item 1. What we need to do here is get the variable for our fruit. So let's go up to our fruit count, and we're going to go fruit count. And this will always say whatever the fruit count equals. But this is always going to say 1 as well, because fruit count equals 1. And this is where we need to add in a change fruit count by 1. Now we could actually change fruit count by 2 and skip every second one so that we only end up doing the odd numbers. And we can have a look at that later as well. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our looks again, and we're going to go say hello. Oops, that's not where I want to put it. I want to put it underneath. And I'm going to say ... And that's just going to be for 1 second. And then I'm going to say again. and fruit salad. Boink. And let's put some little exclamation marks there just to make it super surprised. And we'll change that to 0.5 seconds so that it runs through. So we're changing it by 1, and we're going to have a look at that now. Apple, banana, orange, mandarin, pineapple, mango, fruit salad. Okay, now we can jump through this really quickly. If we go back and we say every second one, we'll see what that does. So it's going to start at 1 still, so it's going to go apple, and then let's have a look at the ones that it chooses. Apple, orange, pineapple, and that's it. Fruit salad. Okay, so because we are getting it to repeat the length of the fruit, you saw that there was a bit of a space in there because it was still doing the repeat, but it wasn't actually changing it to something that actually existed in the list because it was changing it by 2. So it was looking for number 7 and it wasn't finding it. And that's where we saw that gap. All right, now that we've done that, let's head over to Pico-8 and have a look how we can create the same thing there. All right, in Pico-8, let's just press escape and we're going into our code editor. Now, the first thing that we need to do when we create our list is actually give it a title, just like we do with a variable. We're going to give it a title and it's going to be called fruit. We're going to press equals. Now, how to set a list is that we need the curly braces, and that is with the shift key and pressing the little square bracket, the open square bracket. If we're holding shift, it will give us the curly brace, and we can also do the closed curly brace, which is this one here, and that is actually giving us a list. So if we press enter a couple of times on this one, and then I'm going to come down here and just tab in so that it's easy to see what's part of my fruit list, I can then start adding in some different things into my list. So I'm going to do the open and closed quotation marks, and next I'm going to create my list. So I'm going to say apple, and anytime I'm adding an extra thing to a list, I need to make sure that I put a comma there in Pico-8. And I press enter. I'm going to do my quotation marks again, and I'm going to say banana, and the same thing again, orange, mango, pineapple, and we'll leave it there for the moment because we'll add in some things in a minute. So there is our list. But how do we actually see this list? We can print this list a couple of different ways. We can do it like we did with the previous one where we create a variable, and we're going to do that one to start with just to see the similarities. So we need to say for, and in this case we're just going to call this a very simple variable. It's not going to have a name attached to it. We're just going to say I, and we're going to say for I equals 1. And then we count out how many we have in our list. We say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we say 5. Do. And then we can go end. And then in here we're going to say print fruit. But this is where we can actually say which one in the list to print. And to specify a list item, we have to use our square brackets. So same exact keys again as the curly brace, but without the shift. And inside those square brackets, we then specify the number. So if I was to put 1, it would print apple. If I was to do 3, it would print orange. By putting in I, it means that it's going to refer back to I, and I is going to count up and become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's gradually going to print these out each time for the loop. So let's run this and have a look. Oh, before we do that, I just want to put CLS to clear the screen of anything that we might put. All right, let's go. Control R, and there's our list. So you can see that it has gone through, and for each variable, or for each version of I, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's printed the fruit and the number that I is for that loop as the list. Now we can do this another way, which is very similar, but we can say that instead of having to put 5 there, because that's actually a bit tricky, we have to keep coming back and updating our list. And let's say we like to put lots of different things in there, and we don't want to have to keep coming back and counting them all up constantly. We can do the same thing again, but this time we're going to do it slightly different. So we're going to go I equals 1, that's our start. And then we're going to do our comma. And here we can do something called hashtag, which is shift 3 and fruit. Now hashtag fruit actually gets the entire length of whatever the fruit list is. So we no longer have to get 5 or 10 or 15. It will automatically check the length of the fruit list and then it will run the script. So let's go end and we'll do that one more time and we'll say print. And I'm going to get rid of this one here just so that we are able to see this clearly. And we're going to run this, Command R. Oh, syntax error. Okay, syntax error, line 11, print. Now, it's because I didn't put anything in print. So I need to come back here and I need to say print fruit. And I'm going to put I in there again. So again, a little bit of checking there. And there is our print fruit. We can do exactly the same thing again by actually checking each second one like we did in Scratch by going comma and then saying 2. So it's going to say I equals 1 and it's going to loop through for the entire length of fruit, but then it's going to say jump by 2. So what it's going to do is, yes, it's going to get the length of fruit, but it's going to jump by 2 and it's only going to print out every second one. So let's have a look at that now. And then we have apple, orange, pineapple. So it's only printed apple, orange, and pineapple there. There's one more way that we can actually do this, and this will just go through for each in the fruit list. So let's get rid of this one now. And this is the command that is specifically for going through a list. And this is the for each command. So for each, and I'm going to say for each in fruit, print. And that's all we need to run. So let's go Command R again. And apple, banana, orange, mango, pineapple. That has printed our fruit list there. Now we can also add to our list. So let's say we type in add here and we put in fruit. We can add, let's say watermelon. Whoop, watermelon. There we go. And we can also take out oranges. So let's go del for delete. And we're going to delete from our fruit list. And we're going to say delete oranges or orange. Okay, so now that we've done that, it's going to go through after it's added the watermelon and after it's deleted the orange, we're then going to go through. Let's have a look what it does. Control R. And there we go. Apple, banana, mango, pineapple, watermelon, and no orange. So that is a way that we can delete or we can add and delete things from a list in Pico-8, as well as 3 different ways that we can print things from a list. So hopefully that was helpful and you got a lot out of it. Try all these things out for yourself and try different combinations of things to see what you can come up with and play around with it a bit. But for now, I will see you in the next episode.